I'm going to talk a bit about Personize, the technology we are working on. That's like the technology we are passionate, and that also helps me to communicate possibilities that will come in the market, and hopefully I'm pointing to those possibilities, and through the Personize I can demonstrate them, and that give you some ideas how can that translate into your planning for the next the remaining of this year and next year, and if not, your competitor might will do it. So think about a ChatGPT. The vision we have is we are envisioning a world that we have a lot of tiny smart ChatGPT agents working with APIs, working with internal databases, and all together trying to solve problems at a scale. So instead of running one at a time and more assistant kind of way, which is we've seen from Grammarly of the world a few years from now, and everyone use them to just be more productive, we are seeing that we can automate kind of significantly a lot of those things that wasn't possible before. So the way we envision it is like how we can scale it, moving from a few per hour as like a ChatGPT assisted way towards replacing and moving to hundreds or thousands of email writing per day, and is it possible, and how we can get that, and that require a different architecture, different way of thinking about the solution design. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that by showing you an example. You might have seen in this example in previous presentation, but my hope is kind of when you are reading this presentation, let's go back to the context of the company I told you, the recruiting firm. They invested on ZoomInfo. They invested a lot to get those MQLs, and there are some immediate kind of engagement. The salespeople engage them at first touch when the MQL comes in, but they don't have the capacity to go after 20,000. We invest a lot of money into build that database, but when it comes to kind of utilizing that investment and to drive ROI, drive kind of conversions, and add opportunity to our pipelines, we are struggling, and we ended up with using templates. I just mentioned ZoomInfo. You already know in B2B we use intent data. ZoomInfo also have those intent data. Bombara. We work with different sources. Like we invest a lot of resources to build those high premium data sources to support our team, but in reality, we ended up with just kind of generic engagement, generic templates. And in that context, and ChatGPT I showed you in 1%, I'm going to tell you possibility when you want to do batch processing. So you remember in a few minutes ago, I talked about this prompt, and there are many variables that when it goes to at a scale, we need to play dynamically. So the first name will change from one contact to another. The title will change from one contact to another. The company name, the company summary. And the same might be the sender, even the value prop, the pitch can be used. We can use another ChatGPT to tailor the pitch per company based on the industry, based on the background. So there is endless possibility, but at the end of that, so we still have many variables that we need to communicate. And if we want to run it at a scale, we have to come up with a solution for that. So the way we solved this problem was we started to define variables and in the prompt, and some of those variables already exist in our CRM. Some of those variables, we need another ChatGPT agent to help us to build that. It's like in the first database that we have, we already know the first name, we know the company name, we know the title. But when it comes to a web summary, we need also a batch processing that can scrape the content of each website, each company, each person's social media, and use that information to write a summary. The summary is good for two reasons. One is it's human readable, and the salesperson can be equipped with a good insights and intel about the company without spending a second to go to that website. And the other benefit is it's clean. So it's like instead of passing data with lots of noise, you clean it for even for ChatGPT to focus on the task with the best data that you can sync to the ChatGPT. And combined with that, so you already build all the summary in a few seconds or a few minutes because it's a computation, it takes time, and you have that summaries ready. And the next step is we want to map them into prompt per contact. So every person, they have their own first name, Harley, the name of the company, the summary of that company, and that will continue for each contact. So suddenly we have hundreds or thousands of prompts in parallel. That's the way ChatGPT, you can communicate with ChatGPT. So every prompt tells ChatGPT, this person works in this company with this title, with this company, and does this and that. And I want you to provide this pitch. I want to do that. And the reason I'm reaching out is this, and so on and so forth. Even could be follow-up. I already engaged with that person. I want to do this next step with that person. So once you pass that prompt, we want to run it in batch processing way. So and that's the kind of the possibility that is coming to the market. So so we have those prompts, we pass all together to the ChatGPT engines, and the ChatGPT start returning emails again in batches, and email to Harley with something about their company and a pitch for that, email to Grant with something about their company and personalized, and again back to us. That's a whole example. But when I started this example, the idea was I wanted to write few hundreds of emails that are typically takes a human 10, 15, 20 minutes to write, and write hundreds of them per day without hiring a new salesperson and hiring a new SDR. And that's kind of that possibility now has changed, and we have that thanks to these large language models, especially ChatGPT, and that we can write them. The step they can go beyond that is that we can once the model generates the ability to learn, and the more it writes, the better it gets. And that means when we have 100, 200, 200 emails generated by ChatGPT, and you look at them and say, okay, I would change this and that, and after a few hundred of QA, and you retrain the model on that, and suddenly you have your own bespoke model that the more it tries, the more fine tune it, the better it gets to write like you, make fewer errors, and save more time, and you can have more confidence over time. And that would be new asset. That would be new differentiator, a power that you are building, and over time it become more powerful. And that's like, it's not like a technology that you can if you switch today or maybe next year, you just have like a one level more value. It's exponential. The more you spend utilizing this technology, it becomes super powerful, and the unique differentiator, the way kind of that would enable you to talk to customers at a scale. Talking about HubSpot, we have a private HubSpot integration, and what essentially means now we have emails, and a lot of time, a lot of this technology, when for ChatGPT, it requires salespeople to learn new things. They have to learn, and there's a change management involved, and people need to change the way they work. And the way we envision it, again, that's still amazing. That's very useful that you have tools assisting you to write emails, or helping you when you are in HubSpot, or when you are writing those emails. But the vision we have is we go in like with invisible. So it's like we work with the admin, we work with the kind of with the team, with the creative, to understand the brand voice, to train the model on the best salespeople. But when it's ready, we just want to sync it as a custom field to HubSpot. So once it's generated, in a few seconds, you can sync that to the HubSpot. So when the salesperson is assigned to that MQL, a few minutes after that, when they click, the email is written for them. So the email is based on the research, based on why that person clicked on that link, what they downloaded, and so on and so forth. But the email is tailored. It's ready. It can consider all that information to write it. And the salesperson use its unique way of thinking, like a skill set that that person has to communicate with customer, to just tweak that email and send it out. And that's kind of this huge time saving that you can do, and it wasn't possible again. That's kind of thanks to the community of this new kind of building this language model, large language models. We can do it and personalize, enable that to do it in a no code environment. The other thing is a lot of time, it's not just the first, it's a cadence that we design, especially when you go outbound, like if you have a list like on Zoom info or something that we identify on based on the intent. And this is a good list, and we want to go and try to get in meetings with executive of each of these accounts. And ChatGPT, as you can see, it can write emails that can be sent automatically, and also on the follow-ups, it can draft the follow-up email. It can draft the LinkedIn invite message based on the person LinkedIn's background, and even write a script for the phone call. So if you go to call the person, you don't talk generically. You have something to start the conversation based on the company that person is working, the social background, and build that rapport within a few seconds. And we can draft that for a salesperson before they go over on the call. A lot of technologies that worked in the past, again, the way we think about the solution, designing this solution is, and in the past, a lot of time, engineer works in silo. They have process, they have tasks, they get them done, and suddenly we have a product that works perfectly. We have pipelines that sync the data here and there, and we have reports. So we can come up with task, and you assign it to a technical person, and that person does an amazing job, and a few weeks or a few days or a few months after, we have something that we expected to happen. But ChatGPT, it has two sides. One is engineering side and architecting the solution and pipelines, and the other side is creativity and domain expertise and the business understanding and understand the nuances of how to communicate with executives. So you need to engage non-technical peers to help on QA, to designing those prompts, to really retraining the models, and that's the kind of the area that we think we have to move forward towards it. We need to enable people to collaborate. When we move to scaling ChatGPT, we need collaboration. We need to bring the best creative people in our team, the most senior people, to utilize their knowledge, their skill sets for the rest of the organization. And we can have the confidence, even the junior SDR we are hiring, that the quality of the email, the way they would do it has the kind of the quality of kind of the senior level, and the tone is kind of that they're expecting, and that would be a no-brainer. So you can expect much higher ROI from their time, which would be amazing. I'm going to just show this slide, and what I'm trying to communicate with this slide is, if you are familiar with Zapier or other tools similar to that, like workflows in HubSpot, you come up with different steps, triggers, or actions. So if something happened, then do this. And we are architecting pipelines. We are automating steps beyond the scene for our team. And think about with ChatGPT, it's a new possibilities of architecting solutions. So once a lead comes through a paid ads, you know the campaign name, you know what the content they clicked on, so you have that context. Very likely you might already have the URL of the company and maybe some extra information you capture through the form, and you have that context. If not, there are enrichment tools like Clearbit. You pass that information, aim to get that extra information and dimensions about that person. Clearbit is an example. There are many enrichment tools out there. And then you pass it to ChatGPT saying, okay, I have this company profile URL or this LinkedIn URL of this person who just clicked on this ads. That means they care about our solution. Research that person for me. And then you pass it through, you already saw that to another ChatGPT model, say, okay, use that research and also the information I have from the form and also information I got from the enrichment tools all together with this kind of prompt instruction I have for you, write a series or a sequence of messages for me to that lead. Now, I have a draft ready. So I have two scenarios that I can do based on the value of that MQL and sophistication of communication with that specific sort of solutions you have, or that the level of seniority that person have. So if this is so complex, you can draft it and save time for your salespeople, pass it to salesperson, and they would read what you've done. They can tweak it and change some sections and send it out, and that everything will happen for the end user will happen in HubSpot. Or you say, okay, these are maybe tier 2 MQLs based on the scoring system we have. We pass them to some copywriter, proofreader, to just make sure everything is good and there is nothing kind of missing there, and we still in GPT-4 it's almost getting like a 10x lower, like those errors or those kind of things, those mistakes, but still it's almost trustable. But I'm dealing with expensive MQLs, potential huge opportunity with those companies, so I don't want to miss that. So I want to have a proofreader, a QA, to just make sure everything's good. And once it's good, I would pass it to for the first time to automation tools, and it's not template. Every person get their own emails, and I have the confidence because it went through some QA, and again, everything will happen in HubSpot, and no change management, nothing will change on that side, and you can still use your templates or everything you've done. We just add those dynamic variables in it, and so on and so forth. So you have the power to architect new possibilities, and think about your business, work on a piece of paper or on PowerPoint, and try to come up with that, and think about ChatGPT as a new assistant. But the biggest part is well defining the task, understanding the source, the information you have, and what you are getting to out. And once you know and scope it out well, the endless creativity you can apply and come up with different ways to maximize the value for your organization. If I want to translate it in the like, what will happen is, if you at the technical side of your team, what they expect to consider is, we are designing a personalization pipeline. Once we have a data and we know what we have, and we know the task in hand, what kind of email, what kind of landing page, what kind of proposal we want to write with that information, we need to come up with those agents, like this ChatGPT that summarize it, another ChatGPT to write email, another ChatGPT does this and that, and all together are responsible to do one complex task that was possible only by human before this revolution. And the idea of ChatGPT, we can expand it to a lot of smaller models and run it at a scale, QA it at a scale, and apply it. Who knows? Maybe in other iterations, you would have a much faster way to retrain the model. Currently, there are steps we need to make sure that we retrain the model well, but the things kind of the technology is evolving, and we are talking about more auto GPT, like a more dynamically understanding the tasking has. So it's getting better and better over time, but the underlying would be you and your understanding of the business, and you are the creative and your creative person who have interesting ideas, and now we need to translate it into pipelines. We need to translate it into a solution that works together to make that vision come true. And thank you everyone for listening to me.